and learn about. So we're just so grateful that everybody is here to learn about it. So tonight, what we will do is we have 3 people sharing their testimonials. And what we'll do
Excuse me,
is,
Lisa. Sorry to bother you. It's Joyce. But I have some people trying to get in, and it says Jesse has to let them in.
okay, I only see one person. I see one person in the waiting room.
Okay,
So I
that
don't
might be
know.
her. She's texting me and she's trying to get in.
Okay, I don't have another person in the waiting room for some reason. I don't see anybody else in the waiting room. But just
Why do you have a waiting room?
It was a mistake.
Yes, that was an error. That was an error. Actually, I see Amy now,
Okay.
so I'm letting her in.
Thank you.
And
That's it.
yes, she just showed up now. So
Thank you.
as I was saying, what we will do is we have 3 people who are going to share, and they all have very different experiences, very different stories, and they will all share. And then at the end, we will take questions, and so that is how our story hour is going to go. So with that, I am happy to introduce everybody to Jessie Mahoney, who is one of my dear friends, and I am so grateful that I shared this technology with her. Tonight, she is going to be sharing her father's story with ASEA, and it has been quite a journey. So Jessie, I'm turning this over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Lisa, I have those pictures set up if you just can make it available so that I can share as well. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. My dad is 84 years old, and he, in July, this past July, he was diagnosed with a very advanced rogue cell disorder that unfortunately has affected probably almost everybody at this point in one way or another. So as soon as we found out that my dad had this illness, which had spread to his liver and all throughout his abdominal wall, I immediately put him on 16 ounces a day of the ASEA. Now, at the time, my parents were on ASEA. He was only using the gel for his joint pain in his fingers, but my mom was drinking the water, and Dad wasn't really drinking the water. So I put him on 16 ounces a day immediately. It was about 5 weeks after that he started the traditional chemical treatments that most people end up getting. But even before he started, he also was putting the gel on his belly like 3 or 4 times a day too. Like just his whole belly, because that's where all the things were, the cells. So we started like 5 weeks after that is when, after meeting with the correct kind of doctor and getting everything started, that's when he had his first treatment. Now, at the time, the doctor said, look, this is really advanced. We're not going to cure this, but, maybe we can help you be a little more symptom-free. And at the time, the symptom that he had was he was filling up with fluid. Like, as a matter of fact, they drained 10 liters of fluid from his belly that day in July when we first found out that this is what was happening. 2 weeks after that, they drained another 10 liters of fluid. So the masses on the abdominal wall was producing this fluid, and the liver was not able to metabolize and get rid of this fluid. So that's what was happening. So she said, maybe after the 4th or 5th treatment, we should see that it's working because you won't be filling up with as much fluid. Well, 5 weeks of 16 ounces a day of drinking the ASEA, plus using the gel all over his belly 3 or 4 times a day. And he did it 3 times in 5 minutes, 3 or 4 times a day. By the time the first treatment, after the first treatment, and then he went for another drain, they only took out 7 liters of fluid. So it was only 3 liters less. And then after the second treatment, right, because every other week he had a treatment, and then he had this drain. They were only able to take out like 2.5 liters. That was the last time that he had to get drained. So it was really amazing. Obviously, 2 chemical treatments didn't suddenly stop that from happening. So it really was, you know, I definitely think it's a combination of both. But we were really, really excited. And, you know, Dad was, he'll say, he's like, I can tell it's working. You know, it's definitely helping. So fast forward, we get the next scan, the first scan after he started the treatment. And so this is 3 months after the initial scan in July when he had this symptom. And but it wasn't quite a full 3 months of treatments because the doctor wanted to get the scan a little bit early because she just couldn't understand what was going on because he was doing so much better than he should have been. So he, at that first scan, showed that everything had decreased by at least 50%. Everything. And then not only that, but you know, there's always blood markers for this kind of illness. And his initial marker was 49, which is very high because it was a very advanced stage of this illness. After that first scan, it was down to 29. So that was just amazing. So I just want to share this one picture. So in October, we had my niece's wedding. So there's my dad and my niece Rachel. And you know, if you look at my dad, kind of looks a little typical for someone who's undergoing treatments, right? It's a little pale, losing his, you know, his hair is thinning. I mean, it was thin anyway. He didn't have full head of hair, but on the side there, it was a little bit more. So, but during this entire time, every 2 weeks when he went for that treatment, they always do a full blood panel because they make sure that you don't need some kind of vitamin or potassium or something like that. He has never had a low blood count, ever, this entire time. Not a single red number in his panel. Even his A1C is normal, which, you know, so it's just, you know, now after that first scan, he did go down a little bit. He takes about 8 to 10 ounces a day of the drink. He still does the gel. But I wanted to show you, so now it's been since July. So this is how long it's been since he's been on this chemical treatment plus the ASEA. And I just want to show you, I took a picture the other day of Dad. This is Dad now. I don't know if any of you, obviously, I mean, probably most of you have seen people who have been on these chemical treatments for this long. It's been 6 months, 9 months, however long it's been. Nobody starts to look better. But look at my dad, like his complexion is good. His hair is thickening on the side. I told him he's got to get a cut. He looks like a hippie. So I was like, so he, you know, he's actually stronger. You know, he's got really good energy. He's never spent a day in bed. So fast forward, more scans. All right, so the last scan that he had, which was in the end of November, the beginning of December, because he's due for another one in like 2 weeks. All the spots on his abdominal wall are gone. They're just gone. They're not there. So, and what's left on his liver is really small. And she even said at this point, it's kind of like, well, it could be scar tissue or it could be the, you know, the mass of cells. And they won't really know unless, because they look the same on the scan, unless they just stop shrinking and then they figure it out. So the last thing I want to tell everybody is today, Dad went and saw the doctor today. And because once a month he sees her. And that blood number, that blood count number, that marker number is down to a 6. So it went, yeah. So it's really, I mean, it's like, for something that when we saw the doctor first and she said, we are not going to cure this, and maybe you'll be a little bit more, you know, comfortable. Now she's gung-ho on curing it. You know, so that's my dad's story. So thank you for letting me share. I really appreciate it.
Jessie, thank you so much for sharing. I am so happy every time you tell us about your dad's progress, and I see some tears from some of us because we've been on this journey with you,
You
and
have
with
been.
your dad. And it has just been absolutely amazing. And I think every day I remind myself, Jesse, when I'm not sure if I should pick up the phone and tell someone about this, I think about you and your dad. And I think about, what if I didn't pick up the phone? I
You're
hadn't
right.
spoken, I will just share this. I hadn't spoken to Jesse for about 20, I don't know, maybe 18 years. It was
Yeah.
18 years, and something made me, I wanted to tell everybody, and something made me say, I've got to tell Jessie, because she
And then
cares
I
about
wasn't even nice about it either.
you. No, you were nice to me. You weren't nice. Yeah, you weren't. But listen, hey,
I
here
was,
we are. And your
it
dad is
wasn't.
in,
I wouldn't do the three-way call with Steve. Nope. It's like, I don't talk to anybody else.
but that's okay, because I persisted, and I knew that
Thank God.
I knew that you would see, because we're so alike and like-minded people. And I knew that you would really see the power in this. So I cannot thank you enough for listening to me, and that we can be grateful
I
and
cannot
celebrate your
thank you
dad.
enough, and everybody else on this call who's upline of Lisa, because I truly believe this is making a difference in saving my dad's life.
It 100% is. And something else that I want to mention before we introduce the next guest is that we are honored to have Jeanette Chambers here. Jeanette is our team leader and mentor for so many of us here, and we adore and love her. And what is important for everyone here to know is that if Jeanette did not open her mouth and tell other people about ASEA, nobody on this call would be here right now. So that is something, you really have to think about the power of the ripple effect, and talking to people about this. But Jesse, thank you so much for sharing. And we know you have to scoot off, but if
Yes,
anybody
I do.
has questions, if anyone has questions for Jesse about her father and this story, you can just put them in the chat, and we will ask Jesse, even though
Yes.
she does have to
So
leave.
while I'm teaching my class online, I'll be able to text. So if you just ask your question, Lisa will text me the question, and then I'll answer it, and then Lisa will share the answer.
Thank
Just
you.
share
Okay.
it with your dad, our love and big kudos and a big hug.
Thank you, Joyce. I will. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, Jesse. Thank you so much. And now I am honored to have Steve Attard share his story. And so the reason that I learned about this amazing breakthrough is because Darlene and Steve Attard shared this with me. Darlene was my yoga teacher, and she was my new yoga teacher. And she knew what I was going through in my own health journey. And she took a chance and shared this with me. And every day, I am beyond grateful for the both of them, for Darlene and Steve Attard, for sharing this with me, because I have no idea what my life would be like, or what my dad's life would be like, if it wasn't for this. So, Steve, I am going to give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Honored to meet you all. I'm glad you guys all took the time to come and learn about this and listen to our testimonials and our stories. Prior to this, where I am right now, 2015, and even, well, I was in a bad state, actually. I developed severe problems with my knees that I couldn't work out anymore. My ankles were so bad that I couldn't do spin classes anymore. And I developed really bad problems with my hands, actually, that I couldn't close them anymore. And the tingling and burning was so bad that my hands were stuck like this. So I was sleeping with braces on at night because of the burning, and it still wasn't working. So and Jeanette probably pestered me for about a year, and I wouldn't listen to her. I was in the fitness industry before that. I knew top personal trainers, bodybuilders, fitness people, nutritionists, and I knew everything. I thought, what does she know about nutrition? So I finally got at the end of my rope, and I was in a depression. I was losing my business, going through a divorce, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, just send me the product. At least maybe it will help me. I didn't even know where I was going to get the money from. She sent me the product. I was on it for about 3 weeks, and I had some results, and I was grateful to be back in the gym at least. And then I got results, you know, and then one day she called me with David Silverman on the phone, Dr. Silverman, who we all know. He didn't tell Jeanette about this. And I didn't really want to take the phone call. I agreed to it, but I was in such a bad state of mind that I forgot that I said yes to the call because I knew she wouldn't do that. And David asked me key questions, and I wanted to get better. You know, I didn't know where I was going to be. I was only 55 at the time, 50 in the drug, you know, and the gym was my drug addiction, you know, so I used to be addicted to the gym. I needed to train. And he asked me some key questions. One of them was, are you taking enough product all the time? And I said, no, I miss days. I missed my second dose. I would not take it on the weekends because I was too busy, you know, doing things around the house, and I just didn't think it was important. So he says, you got to take it every day. So like the order ships just kept on coming, and they kept on building up in the house. And then I committed to taking it every day consistently on January 1st of 16. I was on the product for 2 solid weeks using the gel in my hands and drinking the ASEA. And I was only taking 4 ounces, sometimes 6 a day. And in 2 weeks, everything went away. My problem with my hands never came back. To this day, I'm back at the gym, no problems. I was breaking records in spin classes, people looking at me like I had 2 heads. I used to actually work out with knee wraps on my knees so I could actually squat and I could spin with magnetics. But the pain was just so bad, it wasn't going away. I figured my knees would warm up. It wasn't going away anymore. And in 2 weeks, all of a sudden, they're like, where's your wraps? I've been wearing them for like 5 years. And that's why a lot of people just decided, like, well, I want to know about this. And they wanted to jump on board. And it's changed my life. And as of right now, unless I hurt myself in the gym because of my addictive personality, I'm good to go. Nothing's ever came back. I'm just as strong as I was when I was 55. Doing crazy things. I finally gave up burpees, you know, 6 months ago, because that's another high in itself. So that's my story, and I'm glad to share with everybody. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Steve, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. And I think your story speaks to many people, because so many are experiencing discomfort. You know, as we get older, we think that that's just part of life. You know, the body is breaking down and we're experiencing discomfort, and we're not going to be able to do what it is that we used to do before. Well, yes, but however, if we're able to put back in our body what is actually an ASEA, so it's these amazing molecules that help our cells to talk to each other, and that makes all the difference in the world, regardless of what's going on, because it's addressing things at the cellular level. It's getting to the root of the issues. And I love that you brought up consistency as well, because I think that you talked about when you weren't consistent, you didn't have the results, but
Yep.
it was the consistency. And that's important. And anyone that is considering trying this product, that is key. Consistency is key. And so make sure that you are talking to the person that introduced you to this. And should you decide to use these products, you definitely want to listen to their input, and you want to let them know how things are going, because if Steve didn't listen and he wasn't consistent, he wouldn't have seen the results that he had. So Steve,
You're welcome. I will not leave the house without a tube of gel. It goes to me to the gym. I warm up my knees with it. I put it behind my neck and on my arteries before I go hit the floor. I get a rush out of it. If anything happens during the day, I always have it with me for myself or for somebody. People see it in my top pocket and my at work, and it's like, what's that? What are you doing? You selling cream now too? Besides paper goods? I'm like, yeah, I do sell cream. That's my side business. You want to know about it? So I sell paper bags with the tube of gel.
Steve, well, thank you. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
never without it also. So never leave the house without it. But thank you again so much for sharing. And if anyone has any questions for Steve, you can feel free to put them in the chat. We'll have time at the end also to ask questions. So, so think about that. And now I am also very honored to introduce you to a dear friend, Robert Florio, who I actually became friends with him because of ASEA. We are, well, we're all part of the same team, but Rob is actually not on my immediate team. We're cross-line, but we help support each other. And Rob just has a really remarkable story. So Rob, are you ready to share? I know it takes a little while for so Rob uses assistive technology. Oh, and there you go. Now you can speak. So Rob, I'm so happy that you're here and that you can share for a few minutes with everyone how your life has changed because of ASEA.
Hi guys, thank you inviting me. This stuff, it's really exciting to use. I had a diving injury when I was 14 and injured my spine in my neck pretty bad. Um, so paralysis and lots of discomfort, like what, 25 years later now. And then stenosis and then another surgery to another fusion. Well, the second fusion did me in like, it was like 6 years ago or 4 years ago. That's when it really started, and it got so bad that I was like, I left my body like 3 times. I was gone. I was like, after that, I was like, okay, universe, started praying, like, you got to send me something because I'm out of here. You know, and talk about knowing the secrets of the universe. Like once that happens to you, you know for sure what's on the other side. It's kind of relieving actually. Um. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. And so well, actually was pretty active. I started doing stand-up comedy before all this, and I paint with my mouth, and I do lots of artwork. Um, and I'll put my website up later if anyone's interested in checking it out. But it's just robertflorio.com, and it's got a lot of stuff on there. Even more information about like how I how I do my applications, and a little bit more, some private videos that I can share with you on there. And so I was living with like level 10 pain. The oxycodone, the morphine every day, like for years, like 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe more than that. So I started applying it, and my sister just sent it to me. And I was like, it wasn't working. I wasn't applying it right. Kind of made fun of it. I was like, yeah, right. So I went to a conference in Bethesda, Maryland that she invited me to. When I was there, they were like really scared for me when I showed up. Like they just started piling it on me. Like I gave me a sample and it was like, oh, just put it on. Just kept putting it on. And it went from, in like 15 minutes, went from like a level 10 to like a level 4. And like even on all of those painkillers, like I couldn't get to that level. So like that day, like I decided I said I'm getting off of all this stuff. Antidepressants, morphine. I still do morphine now, once a day, and I switched to tramadol from oxycodone. So that day, I got off of those 3 things for 6 months straight, and I was like, holy cow! Like the gel lasted like 24 hours. Even when I went home, and the next day, like that day, like I went home, I showed up, I wasn't on any medication. I was just like, I was putting it to the test. I was like, I want to go there when I am my absolute worst. Like, I was like dragging myself, like I barely pushed the joystick on the chair to get into the room. So that was like, if this is gonna work, then I'm gonna know. And I knew. So I went home that day, and then I started drinking it. And I had some points where I was like, you know, you go through levels of different like discomfort in your neck, and is it working? Is it not working? And then you try more, and then you try. I had to like find like how much I had to take to maintain that, um, which was like 16 ounces a day for like 6 months straight, which is a lot. And so I just decided, this technology is like beyond what is available. Like the only way you can get to this level is to like inject something into you, which is very expensive. And even so, that takes months to start working. This was like instantaneous almost when you use it, which was good. But you have to spend months looking for the right, other stuff that I got into after this. So I combined things, but this definitely, I only used this for 6 months, like straight, before I ended up looking for other stuff. Only because I am very chronic, like issues, like so um it was really bad. Like my life was over. I didn't go anywhere. I stopped painting. I even stopped talking to my dog. And like even if you're home all day by yourself, you know, your dog is like your lifeline. She would just look at me in bed like, "Are you okay?" And I would just look at her like, "I am not okay." So now like there's a huge possibility for me to get back my life. And I look at these redox molecules in so many different ways. I learned so much about my body. Like I do lots of meditation and research into like holistic healing and the power of the mind. And one thing that strikes me recently is I kind of was like looking at how redox works, and it's like the positive and the negative charging of the cells in your body. And then I was looking at some like mental healing and how I can get like an emotional state to trigger the cells in my body to pull the energy around me into my body for repairing. And they're very similar. What you're doing is you're elevating the energy level of the cells and molecules, and the body can repair itself. So it was like, wow, these two things. And so that was like my proof that they're on the right track for how it works and why it works. And I'll probably be on it for the rest of my life, only because it's like chronic. But I'm okay with that. Like, you have to look at the medicine that's available compared to this, and there really is nothing. And if you want that relief, you have to either go back on what you were on, which was killing me, or get on this all the time, which is only going to do better, more and more better things for you. Like even if you drank a whole bottle a day, like phenomenal things would just start happening to your body. Um, and that's what I'm excited about, because that's where I'm going to go to eventually. I'm probably going to get to a bottle a day. Uh, why not? Why not? I know it could be expensive, but you just compare like how much medication am I on and who's paying for that, which is mostly the state, and how much money is going into those meds that I take every day. Thousands of dollars.
So
They won't give me the money for this stuff. But I'm already, doing things that are saving my life and costing thousands. But this is something that is better than anything I'm on that's repairing me. So it just clicks in my brain that, we should just be swimming in this stuff.
yes, and Rob, I think you bring up so many good points, but I think one is that you talk about when we think about the cost of, you think about the cost of ASEA versus the cost of what are the other costs? So costs of medications for people that are not even getting to the root of their problems, the costs of being unhealthy, those are significant costs because it's not just money, it's about quality of life, it's about quantity of life. And so these are really big things to consider. But I just have to say, Rob, I am so grateful for you for sharing of your story here, because I know that it's going to resonate with somebody that is listening. And you personally have been able to help me guide my brother, who also has a spinal cord injury. So you've been able to guide us to use this maximally, the liquid and the gel. And thank you so much for sharing
Welcome.
your story. And I'm always so happy to see you, Rob. And I'm if something else can be said of this, this says a little bit about the community or the people in ASEA, that Rob and I, we are all of the same team, but we're cross line and we support each other. And I think that says a lot about the kind of people that are drawn to ASEA. So Rob,
And what
thank
you
you.
say is right. Yeah,
And if
this
any
is magic stuff. I call it aqua magica.
Aqua Magica. Well, lots of people call it different things, but either way, as long as you're educating people about it, that's the important piece. And if anyone has questions for Rob, please feel free to put them in the chat. And really, right now, what I'm going to do, because we're running a little bit later than expected, and I would just like to open it up for questions. So you may simply have a question about the product in general, or you may have a question for specifically either for Steve, for Rob, or for Jesse. So right now, if you have a question, feel free, put it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself. And I'll give you about a minute. And
I would just like to say how amazing I think Rob looks. Well, the first time I met him, his skin complexion did not look as good as it does tonight. So Rob, I think you look amazing, and you're clear every time I hear you speak. Your thoughts are more fluid and they flow. And I'm just so grateful to see you here tonight. So thank you for sharing.
Awesome, thank you. I sprayed my face before I come on here. I put it in my hair and I put it everywhere.
yeah,
Don't get personal.
I thought
you
your hair looked
basically
good
can.
tonight.
Oh,
You can put this anywhere. You could put the liquid anywhere. We have people that spray it in their eyes, people that use the drops in their ears. This is something that is just remarkable. It's native to the body, so it's way beyond what we think of. A lot of people think of natural. Well, a blueberry is natural. This is native. This is what's in our body already, and we are just replenishing our body with these molecules. So I don't think that we have any questions, but I do want to share one more thing before we go. And if anyone does have a question, just feel free, raise your hand or just jump in. But I wanted to share with everyone a couple of things. So right after this call at 9 p.m. Eastern, if you want to know a little bit more about the science, more about just everything about ASEA, you can jump on a call. Alan Noble, who is one of our leaders in ASEA, and he's been with ASEA since the beginning. You can find him. I put the info in the chat at www.discoverasea.com. And he always starts with a testimonial. So even if you just want to jump in for the testimonial, that's always in the beginning. And again, it's right after this call. So 9 p.m. Eastern. It's in the chat, www.discoverasea.com. And tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can also go to www.discoverasea.com, because that is when we have the ASEA 5. So it's basically Jim and Ann Glenn, who are wonderful leaders in ASEA, and they are joined always by 3 different medical professionals from ASEA's board of medical professionals. And tomorrow night, Dr. Carmen Keith is going to be joining, and she is, if someone can remind me of her title, but I adore her.
She is a
She's a-
Harvard-trained medical professional in 3 different disciplines, and I would highly recommend listening to her. Her story is as profound as Jessie's story. She helped her father with this product, and that is what opened up her mind to what was possible. And then since did a lot of research and learned so much more about redox, and now dedicates her life to sharing this with her population that she's mostly concerned with and her colleagues. So she's a fascinating woman to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeanette.
Yeah.
And lastly, this weekend on Saturday, we are all excited to announce that from 11 a.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern, ASEA will hold their Envision event, and it is free and it is open to everyone. So if anyone is interested in learning more about the company, you will learn about the ethos of the company, you'll learn about their mission, you'll learn about the people and the products. And I think it's always an amazing event, and this time it's free. So get back to the person who invited you, let them know your thoughts. And if you want to join us for ASEA Envision, we would love to have you. And the person who invited you can get you that information. So I think if anyone has any closing thoughts, I don't think anyone has questions, but we want to thank you for sharing of your precious time with us. And we really do believe that the time you spent here was time well spent. This is something that, even if it's not something that resonates with you right now, we are happy that you learned about it, because you will always have in your mind that it's an option for someone you love, someone you meet in the future. So please just keep it in mind, and keep in mind that this is something that can profoundly impact people's lives. So thank you for joining us, and have an amazing night, everyone. Blessings to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. And I will release the recording as well. Thank you.
See you Saturday.